Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unlocking three pretty timeless strategies that tackle some very, very modern challenges. We're going to dive into some fascinating ancient sources to find some real, practical wisdom for managing your energy, your wealth, and yeah, even your future. So let's just jump right in with this question. It's a big one, right? What if the solutions to all that stuff that keeps you up at night, what if they aren't new at all, but are actually ancient and totally time-tested? Well, that's what we're going to explore today with three powerful keys from ancient Jewish wisdom that are, you'll see, surprisingly practical for life right now. Okay, so our first key is a direct, hands-on method for personal protection. It deals with something that's traditionally called the evil eye, but honestly, you can just think of it as a way to manage all that negative or just draining energy we all run into every day. So what are we really talking about here? Mal di ojo is basically a name for that harmful, negative vibe you can sometimes pick up from people. You know that feeling, right? When someone gives you a compliment that doesn't quite feel like a compliment, or when you walk into a room and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. The really interesting thing here is that most of the time it's not even intentional. It could just be envy or some leftover bad will, or you're just catching the fallout from someone else's really bad day. And this quote right here, it points to the ancient solution. See, the original text talks about the patriarch Jacob, who was about to meet his estranged brother, Esau. And he was, pretty scared. But the wisdom here is that Jacob extended his hand, not to fight, but as a kind of shield to literally bounce back any negative energy. It's such a powerful metaphor, right? It's about actively deflecting negativity, not just standing there and taking it. So, this is where it gets really practical. You can take that whole principle of deflection and turn it into two simple, tangible actions. The tradition suggests using the Hebrew letter he, which stands for the number 5, or the symbol of a hand, which you might know as a hamsa. So wearing a little silver pendant, or even just putting up a simple drawing of a red hand in your home, well, it acts like a constant, symbolic reminder to shield yourself and just rebound that energy. Okay, let's move on to our second key, and you'll see how these ideas kind of build on each other. We're shifting gears from protecting our personal energy to preserving and, growing our financial well-being. But the approach here, it might seem a little backwards at first. I mean, this sounds like a total paradox, doesn't it? The salt of money is to make it lacking, but the whole secret is in that metaphor. Think about it. Back in ancient times, what did you use to preserve food? Salt. So the wisdom here is that the absolute best way to preserve your wealth, to keep it from going bad or just disappearing, is to strategically make a little bit of it lacking. And how do you do that? By giving it away as charity. And this is where a very specific number comes into play, 10%. The traditional practice of the tithe says you should set aside 10% of what you earn for charity. Now, this isn't looked at as a loss or some kind of tax. It's seen more as a spiritual investment. In modern terms, you could almost see it as a kind of purpose-driven spending, which we now know has all these amazing psychological benefits. It's an act that's believed to function like a magnet, drawing in continued abundance. And to really hammer this point home, the source material tells this really sobering story about a woman who was once a millionaire. But after she stopped her charitable giving, her entire fortune just dwindled away. It got so bad she ended up scavenging for scraps of barley. It's a pretty stark parable for sure, but it highlights the core logic. That act of giving is the salt. It's the preservative for your finances. And that brings us to our third and final key. So once you've protected your energy and you've preserved your wealth, how do you grow it wisely? Well, this is a time-tested strategy for structuring your investments, coming to us straight from the Talmud, designed for both security and growth. Just look at this chart. It visualizes the core concept. And what's amazing is that it's basically an ancient version of modern portfolio theory. It's an incredibly simple, elegant rule of thirds for diversification. So instead of going all in on one risky thing, you create this perfectly balanced portfolio that's really designed to weather any kind of storm. Now let's break down the why behind each of these thirds, because this is where the real genius of the system is. So 1/3 goes into merchandise. That's your active business, your trade, the thing that actually generates growth. Another third goes into properties. Think real estate or other hard assets that give you long-term security and stability. And that final third, you keep it in liquid cash. Why? So you're ready to jump on unexpected opportunities the second they pop up. It's a completely balanced system built for resilience. So, let's just do a quick recap. We've covered three really powerful, actionable principles for managing some of the most important areas of your life. First, we have protection, neutralizing all that negative energy. Second, abundance, preserving your wealth by giving back. And third, investment, diversifying your assets for both security and opportunity by using that simple rule of thirds. And I guess this leaves us with one final thought to take with you. If these ideas have stuck around for centuries and can still give us such practical solutions for our crazy modern world, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other powerful, effective knowledge might just be waiting for us in these ancient texts, ready to be rediscovered?